Yes, now it is started.
Okay, good morning all of you. Any questions from yesterday's class? Anyway, let's go ahead. And we started looking at two serviceability requirements. One is deflection, another one is crack width. Okay. So far what you have done in your assignments, or so far what you have done in the classes, is you learned how to design using working stress method, how to design a rectangular cross section beam, or for that matter any type of cross section. Okay. Either it is reinforced on tension side or both on tension and compression side for flexure. So, and also we looked at in yesterday's class about some detailing, reinforcement detailing. Once you get area of steel, how you are going to detail, some clauses related to that we have looked at. And also we noted that there are some clauses in IS 456 specifying maximum spacing of the reinforcement bars and also minimum area of steel and other things. Okay. So also we noted yesterday's class about whatever so far we designed is from strength point of view. Basically you have maximum bending moment given to you, or either you do analysis and get maximum bending moment, and for that how to design various types of sections is what we looked at for flexure. And so that is from strength point of view. So we need to, once we get the area of steel and dimensions of the beam, we also need to check for serviceability requirements. One is deflection. The structure has to be functional, and even if you say, or even if you guarantee structure is safe, but it's not going to serve the purpose because of excessive deformation or excessive deflection, it's going to be useless. So deflection has to be within certain limit as per the code. And so to assess this deflection, or to make sure the deflections are within the limit, there are two ways of doing it. One is you take care of L/D ratio, effective span to depth ratio. And we'll see in today's class some problems, how to solve using whatever empirical method I showed you yesterday, which is given in page 37, 38, 39 of IS 456. Or you calculate the exact value of deflection using NXRC procedure. That also we will be looking at. So either way you can do that. That is either you can make sure your effective span to depth ratio is within certain limits, or you just calculate the deflection and then compare with whatever is permissible deflection. So that is how you will deal with deflection. And similarly, crack width. If you strictly follow whatever clauses that are given in IS 456 with respect to the maximum spacing and minimum reinforcement requirements and other requirements, if you make sure that your design is complying with all the codal provisions, then automatically this crack width is going to be taken care. But also, if you really want to know what is the width of a crack, there is a procedure which is outlined in Annexure F of IS 456. That also we'll see in today's class. Okay. So I suggest all of you have IS 456 with you. Open page 37, 38, 39. We'll see. Anyway, we'll come back to this one. Yesterday we noted this deflection limit. Once again, we'll come back to it at a later stage. Okay. And what is this, which is projected here? What is this figure is? It is nothing but pictorial way of expressing. Page 37, you please open your code book, because I cannot simultaneously open two things. Okay. Page 37, for cantilever for basic span up to 10 meters span, what is the effective span to depth ratio that is given in the code? That is 7. Okay, and span to effective depth ratio for cantilever up to 10 meter span, it is given as limit is 20, and for continuous beam limit is 26. That is what is shown here. That is what is plotted. Okay, and beyond that, some correction needs to be applied. And if you really do some linear interpolation and try to plot it, this is how it's going to look like. Okay, and why for cantilever it is not shown is usually we will not have cantilever more than 10 meters length usually. Okay, so whatever the basic value that is given in the code book in IS 456, it is actually shown in the form of a figure here, plotted. So I hope all of you are ready, and be serious, understand, because unless you really look at or try to follow, it's difficult to teach. So take a note of this problem. So we are going to make use of whatever is given in page 37, 38, 39 of IS 456. Here, please take a note of it. Simply supported rectangular beam, 12 meters span, has an effective depth of 800 mm. The area of tension reinforcement required to support the loads is designed as 1.6%. So the percentage of tension reinforcement is given to you in the problem statement, and the span of the cantilever beam is given. Okay, for a cantilever beam, span is going to be same as effective span. Anyway, it is mentioned here 12 meters effective span. 12 meter span is given. It is like distance between the points of zero bending moment, so it's going to be 12 meters. And effective depth is, this is what the depth we need to use, 800 mm. Percentage of tension reinforcement is 1.6, and what is asked is check the deflection control of the beam by empirical method. Based on whatever dimensions that are given, span as well as effective depth, please tell whether it is okay, this design is okay or not from deflection point of view. That is what the question is. And two types of steel, Fe 415, Fe 500. Okay, so now you need to go to page 37. What is the basic value for simply supported beam? Basic value for simply supported beam up to 10 meter span. Please look at it. One of you have to be active. Understand? I want some interaction here, not simply keeping silent. What is the basic value?
20.
For simply supported, and that is up to 10 meter span. Our span here is 12 meters, so length correction has to be applied. So please make a note of it. Whatever L by D given there, 20. For that, since our span is 12 meters, we need to apply a correction. And what is that correction? 10 divided by 12 times 20. Okay. And then we need to again apply a modification factor for tension reinforcement. Here there is no compression reinforcement, and also this is not a flanged section. So corresponding modification factor for compression reinforcement, you can assume it as 1, and flanged section, it's not a flanged section, so corresponding reduction factor, which is given in figure 6, I think, and that also can be assumed as 1. Okay, so now, this is what I'm saying. There is no compression reinforcement in this particular problem. There is no, it's not a flanged section, so you can take this to be 1, 1. And now whatever the value, 20 multiplied by 10 20 multiplied by 10 divided by 12, you need to apply modification factor for tension reinforcement. For that, we need to read this one. Read this, read the modification factor value from this figure. And here yesterday I mentioned to you how to calculate this Fs. Okay. So what is Fs value for Fe 415 steel? Quickly. And here I told you yesterday, if the area of cross section or the area of steel required is given and also area of steel provided is given, then you can actually find this ratio. Here area of steel is mentioned, so we can take this as 1, in the sense area of steel provided is same as area of steel required. So quickly tell me what is Fs 0.58 multiplied by Fe 415. 415. Quickly.
240.7.
240.7 here. So then you can actually round it off to 240. Okay. Or if you want to be so precise, then you need to do some linear interpolation. So let's take it as 240. Let's take it as 240 percentage of tension reinforcement. Please note that this example is for illustration purpose. That's why some whatever round number matching with the values that are given here. That is what is given in the question. And so 1.6 is the percentage of tension reinforcement. And our steel is Fs, or Fs value for the steel Fe 415 is 240 as somebody reported. Now you read from this. You read from this what this point corresponds to on this axis. Okay, this is 0.8, this is 1.2. So this is going to be 1 and the midpoint is going to be 0.9 and it is slightly lower than the midpoint. You can imagine it's slightly lower than the midpoint. You agree? So with your eye judgment, whatever value, I'm guessing it to be 0.88, something like that, or 0.89. Okay, so that is the modification factor. This modification factor, what is the L by D? So span to effective depth, span to effective depth ratio here. Span to effective depth ratio for simply supported beam is 20, and for span greater than 12 meters it is 10 divided by 12, and that we need to again multiply with whatever just now modification factor that we found from figure 4. So the limit deflection L by D ratio limit as per IS 456 is, for this particular beam it is 20 multiplied by 10 divided by 12 multiplied by 0.89. What is that value?
14.83.
So your L by D ratio should be 14.83. So what is the L by D ratio here? What is the L by D ratio here? 12 divided by 800, or 12 you need to convert into millimeters.
$15.
And what is the code value?
14.83.
Anyway, you can say it is you can round it off. You can say it is 15, or if you want to be very precise, because you please see we got 14.83 by reading from that figure. And if you want to be more precise, you can actually use digitize, because we are here, we are in the border situation. In the sense we are in the limiting case. So the code is saying 14.83, whereas the actual L by D ratio is 15. So strictly speaking, 15 is greater than 14.83. So we need to redesign the beam. But that 14.83 value is totally dependent on the eye judgment here. So you can actually digitize this, and then or we can round it up to 15 and we can say the beam is satisfying the codal requirements. Is it clear? Any questions here? So how we proceeded is reading based on this information, based on the percentage of steel and also based on the span, we read the code value, code prescribed limit here. What code is saying? Vertical deflection limits may generally be assumed to be satisfied provided span to depth ratio are not greater than the values given below, obtained as below. Okay. So what we did is, using this information which is given in 23.2.1 in IS 456 page 37, we found vertical deflection limit. That is what this 20 multiplied by 12 20 multiplied by 10 divided by 12 times 0.89. That is the deflection limit that is given in the code. But actually, what is the deflection here? What is L by D ratio here? That is going to be obtained from using the actual values. So you can write two things: L by D ratio subscript limit as per the code, and L by D ratio actual. Actual is for the given dimensions. Is it clear? So repeat it again for FE 500. Repeat the problem for FE 500. So let's read for FE 500. Again, you calculate FS value and read from here. What is FS value for FE 500?
290.
Anyway, it's exactly matching with the curve that is given. So, and 1.6 is the percentage of tension reinforcement. So this is the point. This point, this is a 0.4, this is 0.8, so this is 0.6, and somewhere midpoint is going to be 0.7, and you can say 0.75. So L by D limit, L by D subscript limit is 20 multiplied by 10 divided by 12 multiplied by what is it? 0.75. What is that value?
12.5.
12.5. And you can see here, now it is violating. Now 12 point and actual value, actual span to effective depth ratio is 15. And the codal vertical limit, vertical deflection limit as per the code, it is whatever somebody's mentioned, 12.5. So 15 is greater than 12.5. So we need to redesign the beam. Is it clear? So you please see, this is what you need to understand. Design is an iterative process. Design is an iterative process. You see, you spend a lot of, let's say, you please note that for learning purpose or from examination point of view, or for illustrating how to solve, how to design for singly reinforced beam, we are going to take up one simple example and try to explain to you. And the problem is going to end by after finding the area of steel. But in reality, you need to check all these things. Suppose you did all that and you arrived at the area of steel, and then when you are checking this one, here it failed. Here the deflection span to effective depth ratio is exceeding the codal given limits. Then you need to again revise this, and then go back to again square one, and then start doing everything again. Okay. And also please note that design, you are not going to have unique answer. As I mentioned earlier as well, then if there are 100 students can come up with 100 designs. Some designs may pass this deflection limit, this check. and some designs may not pass. Again, then they have to revisit and redesign everything. Okay, so this is what. Okay, and is it clear? So let's take one more example here. Compression reinforcement is not there, and this is not a flanged section. So let's complicate it little bit, and let's take this problem. Take a note of this problem. Doubly reinforced beam of rectangular section. And please note that whatever we are doing, we are not actually calculating exact value of deflection. That we are going to see in a while. We have to use the procedure in Annexure C. We are just making sure deflection, whether it's within the limits or not, by making sure the span to effective depth ratios limits that are given in the code are satisfying or not. Okay, so take a note of it. Doubly reinforced rectangular beam section, 250 by 550 overall depth. Okay, and is reinforced with 4 bars of 22 mm diameter on tension face, 2 bars of 16 mm diameter on it's mentioned at the compression face or on the compression face. Okay, so tension reinforcement is given, compression reinforcement is given, and effective cover is given 50 mm. So effective depth is going to be 550 minus 50, 500. And your area of the percentage of compression reinforcement, percentage of tension reinforcement, you need to calculate with effective depth, B times small d, 250 times 500. So quickly, because here one of you need to take a lead and tell me what is the percentage of tension reinforcement, percentage of compression reinforcement. 4 bars of 22 mm diameter in tension, 4 multiplied by pi 22 square divided by 4 divided by 250 multiplied by 500. That is going to be percentage of tension reinforcement. And similarly, using this 2 bars of 16 mm, you find percentage of compression reinforcement. Quickly.
1.21%.
So one by one, let's 1.21 something. What is that? Is that tension reinforcement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just you calculate the other value also. Later you can tell. So now the beam supports a span of 8 meters here, and Fe415 steel. Beam span is 8 meters, so it is less than 10 meters. So as per the code, if it is less than 10 meters, and here what is this beam? It's not mentioned clearly what are the boundary conditions. You can take it to be simply supported. So up to 10 meter span, L by D ratio basic value as per the code that is given in page 37 is 20. So 20 we need to take, but we need to apply modification factor corresponding to tension reinforcement and compression reinforcement. And we can read it from figure 4 and 5. 4 for tension reinforcement modification factor, 5 for compression reinforcement modification factor. And wherever required, we need to read the curve which corresponds to Fe415. So let's read that one. Whoever just now mentioned or intimated the tension percentage of tension reinforcement, you can please even tell me this value here, modification factor. Modification factor for tension reinforcement. What is that value? Quickly, what is the value?
So 0.5 approx we can take.
0.5.
0.88.
Here it should be, why 0.5 is here? Where is the curves are much above that? 0.88. You please see that, okay? So 0.88, you please set aside that value. Please take a note of it. Now let's go to compression reinforcement. I hope everybody is following, okay? Everybody is following. If you have any questions, please let me know. So let's go to compression reinforcement. That is first time we are reading that one, that using that figure. So compression reinforcement modification is much easier. And what is the compression percentage of compression reinforcement? Actually, what you can do is you can digitize this, because please note that these code books sometimes these all these modification factors and other things. It was when there is not much digitization and other things. Okay. Now you can digitize. Instead of reading all the time from this figure, you can develop your own equation, or in your code book you can note down that equation on the side. So directly you can plug in the percentage of compression reinforcement value and then get the numerical value. Okay. So what is the percentage of compression reinforcement? And what is the corresponding modification factor?
$1.09.
Okay, 1.09 is the modification factor.
Yes, sir.
So total finally the L by D limit as per code is going to be, for this problem, it's going to be 20 times what is that, 0.8 something somebody mentioned. What is the correction factor? 0.88 for tension reinforcement. And now it is here compression reinforcement, whatever modification just now you mentioned. You multiply all this and get the limit, L by D limit as per code. Final L by D limit, you tell me.
17.8.
So now you please see what is L by D, actual L by D ratio. Its span is 8 meters. 8 multiplied by 1000 divided by effective depth 500.
16.
16. And what is the limit?
17.77.
Okay, it's within the limit. So you can assume this design to pass the check. Okay, you can assume that this design is passing that check, or we can say deflection is going to be within the limits. Any questions here? So now let's make use of the figure 6, which is for flanged section. So an example is actually this framed for that kind of situation. Example 3. Check the deflection requirement for the following T-beam continuous. T-beam continuous. It's a continuous beam over 10 meter span, having flange width BF. BF is 1200 mm. BW is 250 mm. Please note that BF and BW are given because we need to read figure 6 of IS 456, for which you are required to know the ratio of these things. Okay. And effective depth is given D. Area of tension reinforcement, area of compression reinforcement is given. And you need to find the percentage of steel. And please note that when you are calculating for flanged sections, percentage of steel, you need to use BF multiplied by D. Width of the flange multiplied by effective depth. That is given in the code. You need to pay attention to that one. Okay. Here, for this is the figure. This is instead of modification factor, this value is going to be less than 1, so it's mentioned as reduction factor. Anyway, we'll come back to it. And here, this is what I am saying. For flanged sections, if you want to use figure 4 and 5, that is modification factor for tension reinforcement, compression reinforcement, while calculating the percentage of corresponding steel, you need to use BF multiplied by D. Okay. So with that, quickly do that calculation and tell me what is percentage of tension reinforcement, percentage of compression reinforcement. What is the value? Huh?
So is it 0.77?
Can you repeat?
0.77?
0.77 is percentage of tension reinforcement.
The reduction factor.
Directly you are giving modification factor. Modification factor for percentage of steel, tension steel, and percentage of compression steel. What is modification factor? And somebody else can check reduction factor, okay? Based on the ratio. Tell me.
Can I explain once again, like what should we do for the flange beams? I didn't really get it.
Which one?
For flange beams, what should we do to find the deflection?
No, just you tell me what is modification factor for compression reinforcement and also reduction factor. Here you need to calculate a ratio of this one, BW by BF. This is BW by BF. What is BW? BW is given as 250 and BF is given as 1200. You find that ratio and read the reduction factor. It is coming as a 0.208 something. And please note that this is going like this, and then it is actually overlaid. Okay, here it is flattening. You take it as 0.8.
.8 is the reduction factor.
Yeah, 0.8 is the reduction factor and compression reinforcement modification factor. What is that? Please respond quickly, okay? Compression reinforcement modification factor.
It's 1.1, nearly 1.1.
1.1.
1.
Okay, so now you apply the total multiply all this 0.77 multiplied by 1.1 multiplied by 0.8, and then this is a continuous beam, span is 10 meters. So the basic value is 26. And we don't need to apply correction for this span because it's only 10 meters. So 26 multiplied by 0.77 multiplied by 1.1 multiplied by 0.8. Now what is the value? Quickly, what is the value? What is the value? L by D limit as per the code.
So once can you repeat it, sir? L by D limit equal to
No.
multiply by.
Please, you already noted what is modification factor for tension reinforcement, modification factor for compression reinforcement, and reduction factor for flange section. You multiply all those things, okay? And then basic value for continuous beams less than 10 meter span, it is given in page 37 as 26. So 26 has to be multiplied with all these factors, or modification factor and reduction factors. And then finally you get, that is what is the L by D limit as per the code. I want that one. You need to tell quickly, understand? I don't know why you are taking so much time.
17.6.
Okay, 17.6. And what is the actual value for this particular, whatever given information of this beam? It is 10 meter span. Span is 10 meters. and its depth is 400 effective depth. So here it is exceeding, okay? Here it is exceeding the limits that are specified by the code. So you need to redesign this beam. I don't know why is whether you read properly the modification factor for tension reinforcement and compression reinforcement.
Sir, there was a mistake in the modification factor.
Yeah, as per whatever I have here, modification factor for tension reinforcement, it is given as 1.5, and modification factor for compression reinforcement as 1, and reduction factor for flange section is given as 0.8. Okay, so please read it properly. So you take these values: 1.5 for tension reinforcement, compression reinforcement 1, and flange section reduction factor it is 0.8. Somebody I think has to mute that. So
31.2.
huh?
31.2.
Yeah, that is correct. Okay, that is correct. Okay, and whatever the actual value is 25 or something. So 31, the code limit is higher than the actual value. So we are within the limit. So design is safe. Anyway, please see the seriousness of reading that properly. Okay. So this is how you will be proceeding and checking the once your design is once you say your design is complete, you also need to do these checks. Okay. In tomorrow's class, we'll learn how to do the calculation, exact calculation of deflection, making use of NXSC of IS 456. Both the short-term deflection as well as long-term deflection. This we'll see in tomorrow's class. And also assignment, whatever assignment I have given you, it is due tomorrow. And so try to complete it. And tomorrow you are going to get another assignment based on whatever is covered in today's class, and also tomorrow's class, whatever we are going to cover. So this is the kind of assignment. Deflection control using empirical method, okay, and also deflection control using exact method given in Annexure C, which we need to discuss, and also crack width, how to do the crack width calculations based on Annexure F. So we'll see this, okay, in tomorrow's class. Any questions? Professor Ramlan, you want to add something?
Yes, see, the second reading assignment has been uploaded in Moodle. The reading assignments are given for you to stay focused, which portions to read from the code, from the handbook, and from the text by Professor Pillai and Menon. Please see the reading assignment and read accordingly.
Any questions or comments?
Sir, in last problem we did a mistake, no sir. Let's say that's correct. And how to redesign, sir?
Redesign, you need to go back and change the depth. And suppose your reinforcement, everything is whatever you provided is adequate, then there is a slightly you can increase the depth. And please note that so far we have not discussed about shear design. Okay, actually this entire check can be made even once you design for shear.
So
Because
sometimes even if you limit the spans, then the deflection will be substantially reduced. So in fact, the selection of spans very much depends on, you know, what type of section you're using. And hence, see, later on when you come to the calculation of deflections, you will see that the deflection is proportional to the span Q. And if you reduce the span slightly, then the deflection will come down substantially.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then let's meet tomorrow. Yeah, thank you. Once, just wait a minute.
Just to add something, see, in the modern day construction, problem of deflection arises because of the architects love longer and longer spans. And then you run into trouble because you're not allowed to increase the depth, and this increased spans create trouble. Okay.
Anyway, I hope your assignments and other things are interesting to you. Okay, because you get a better feel for it once you start doing assignments. And please note that this is a design course, and so it's important that you use all your creativity and come up with the different economical designs and other things. Okay, and so if some enthusiastic students are there, then they can even plan for developing a MATLAB course and other things. Okay, thank you.